In this video, we are going to discuss two common grammatical errors, the run-on sentence and the fragment. Before we can learn how to identify and correct these mistakes, we first need to understand what an independent clause is. An independent clause is a sentence that expresses one complete thought and contains a subject and a verb. An example of an independent clause is, "My brother loves to play." This contains a subject and a verb and also expresses a complete thought. This sentence makes sense and can stand alone by itself. Then there are the dependent clauses. A dependent clause is a phrase that contains a subject and a verb, but does not make sense, can't express a complete thought, and cannot stand alone. An example of a dependent clause is, "When I go to school." This dependent clause contains the subject I and the verb go, but it cannot stand alone. When you say "when I go to school," it does not form a complete sentence and does not express a complete thought. So it is a dependent clause. You can combine independent and dependent clauses to form various types of sentences. However, sometimes in this process, things can go wrong. That leads to the two problems that trouble so many writers today: run-on sentences and fragments. When I think of a run-on sentence, I usually think of someone talking forever and ever on a subject. A run-on sentence is exactly that. It's a sentence that expresses way too many complete thoughts without end. It's a combination of more than one independent clauses that are not connected properly. An example of a run-on sentence is, "The science teacher is nice. She gives homework." This sentence does not properly connect two different complete thoughts. The science teacher is nice and she gives homework. This sentence expresses two complete thoughts without being connected properly. Now you might say, why not just add a comma after the first complete thought? The science teacher is nice, comma, she gives homework. However, this only creates something called a comma splice. By themselves, commas can only solve half the problem. They need a little bit of help. Which leads us to our first solution, the comma and coordinating conjunction solution. The first step is to add a comma after our first independent clause, which we already did here, but right now we have a comma splice. So we need to add a coordinating conjunction that makes the most sense after the comma. You're probably wondering what a coordinating conjunction is. Well, a conjunction is a word used to connect words and phrases that are of equal value. If a run-on sentence contains two independent clauses, a conjunction, with the help of a comma, can connect them because both parts of the sentence are independent clauses, which makes them of equal value. A coordinating conjunction is simply one of the following 7 conjunctions: for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. You can use the acronym FANBOYS to help you remember the 7 coordinating conjunctions. Now we can figure out how to fix our run-on sentence. Let's take the sentence from before. The science teacher is nice. She gives homework. We first need to add our comma after the first independent clause. The first independent clause in our sentence is "the science teacher is nice," so we'll add a comma after that. Now we need to add the coordinating conjunction that makes the most sense. Looking from here, I would feel that "but" makes the most sense because it is a contrasting conjunction. It shows that there's a positive side to something and also a negative side. The science teacher is nice is the positive side. She gives homework is the negative side. So I would use "but." So our sentence would now be, the science teacher is nice, but she gives homework. Now we've solved our run-on sentence. There's also another way to solve run-on sentences. We can use the semicolon solution. The semicolon solution uses a special punctuation mark called the semicolon, which can automatically connect independent clauses together. The semicolon, for those of you who don't know, looks like a period over a comma, or like this. Oops, sorry. This. Okay. All you need to do is place the semicolon after the independent clauses and they're immediately connected. So, the science teacher is nice, semicolon, she gives homework. When used properly, the semicolon can be used to add stylistic effect to writing as well. These are the only two solutions for run-on sentences. Now to solutions for fragments. Let's use the fragment from before, when I go to school. In order to figure out whether this is actually a fragment, you have to ask yourself the question, does this sentence answer a question? Based on your answer to this question, you can figure out that the sentence expresses a complete thought, or that it doesn't express a complete thought, and that it is a fragment. All complete thoughts will always answer a question. For example, my brother loves to play answers the question, who loves to play? However, when I go to school doesn't really answer anything at all, so that makes it a fragment. Another way to identify run-ons is by just saying it out loud. Sometimes that's the best way to do it. However, you should only say the sentence out loud if you can't really figure out whether it answers a question. Run-on sentences and fragments have been plaguing essays for years, all the way from elementary school to college. They are both common yet easily avoidable mistakes that have costly consequences. I hope this video will help you identify and fix these common grammatical errors.